All right, wanted to come in with another relatively quick video to talk about some terrain projects I've been working on. I had surgery on my thumb in January and I haven't had the use of my right hand fully since then. So after a few weeks of going crazy with that hobby, I've been looking for things that I can do with just my left hand. So I've done a few projects prepping for some future armies, getting some priming done, getting some sorting done, collecting bits, make sure they go to the right places. And then I took on a pretty substantial terrain project, which we'll talk through, and I'll talk about how I did each of these. So what I was going after was a arid looking terrain set, perfectly set for like a full Saga terrain table. So it's all the different options in a Saga terrain table. And I wanted it to match my own Saga forces, which I'll show in a future video, as well as those of a couple of my play group buddies. So without further ado, I'll go through. So we will start with, here's one, and I have a lot of these in different shapes and sizes, you know, kind of show off for a moment. I wanted forests, but I didn't want your standard trees and such, as again, it's a really arid environment. Really I was going for Turkey or the Black Sea area, South Black Sea area in general, maybe a little further into Iran area as well. But anyways, this is like a low scrub that blocks line of sight, gives the same cover as trees, and I think this works. So the way I constructed this is really simple. I took some bases I had left over. Oh, the other thing I should mention is I didn't want to spend much money on this terrain project. I wanted it to be complete, but I wanted to spend as little money as possible. So a lot of these were bases I had left over just from packs I had bought in the past from Sarissa or some other makers. I ordered a few on Etsy, and I thought, hey, this is a good use for those. And then I put on some, I had a color of this, it's the Vallejo, I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's called like basing gel. I had a few types of that basing gel that I didn't really like the color of or the consistency. I thought, hey, why not use it up for this? So I spread it down on these MDF bases after I prepped them with a dull coat spray so that they wouldn't warp. Once the gel is dry, I then just primed them all desert yellow from a spray can I had from years ago from a World War II project, and then I dry brushed it with some bleach foam. From there, I took a hot glue gun, which, man, I do not for a moment regret buying a hot glue gun. It's really awesome for projects like this. Took the hot glue gun and attached on some clump foliage, which for years I had trouble with clump foliage because I was trying to use PVA to get it to stick and it just doesn't work that well. But hot glue worked in a moment, really easy to work with, really quick. I love it. So hot glued down this stuff and then put each of these little bushy areas on its own base so that in play, terrain doesn't get in the way of moving models, which is really important to me. So those are some pieces of scatter as well as forests for Saga. I made a couple of walls, nothing to say here, sprayed them. This is Renendra, this is Pegasus Hobbies. I've had this forever. I just recently had got this and thought, hey, really easy to get these going, put them on the table in case I want to play something other than Saga. This is a versatile terrain piece where right now I've got tents on it. This can be a camp for more games that use camps, or I can remove all of these and then put on some of those low bushes that I showed before, and now we've got another area of kind of quote forest. Just again, using stuff I had sitting around. These are Renendra tents, really cheap pack I bought a long time ago for To the Strongest. And then I had some old movement trays that really didn't fit very well in the games I'm playing today, so I chopped them up and made them terrain bases, and they did really well in that. A couple more pieces. In Saga, which is really seen around Northern Europe, marshes, bogs play a part in that. So I wouldn't want to have a bog or a marsh in my arid terrain, but I did think that a mud pit might be appropriate. So I created 2 of those. The way I made this was, again, I used some of that basing gel from Vallejo and then sprayed it and dry brushed it. One additional step is I hit the middle area, the muddy area, with a, I think it's like snakebite leather contrast paint. Then in this area in the center, I put on some Vallejo still water effects. I still dry brushed the outer mud because I wanted to show it drying. I probably could have used an old product I have sitting around from GW for Cracked Earth, but I really haven't been impressed with how that looks on a larger piece. So I just thought I'd go with something like this. Also seems like way more durable. I didn't put models on here without worrying about it. I, of course, made sure to dull coat it before putting on the water effect so it would retain that sheen. Man, it's really showing up as shiny on the camera right now. In person, it's a little more subtle. I just thought it'd be kind of cute to put some footprints in there and kind of show off that it's mud. I don't know if it really works that way. Another couple of pieces that I like are my small fields. Again, off the Saga terrain table, I just bought a, I'm forgetting the name of what this material is, but it's coconut husk. It's got another name, cocoa something. Maybe it's cocoa melon. I don't think that's it. But it's cocoa husks, and they are coconut husks, and they are a doormat. So I bought the doormat for, I think, $8, and then I started chopping it up. So I have some square sections I use for AWI and French and Indian War. And then I have these sections for Saga, and again, I want terrain that doesn't interfere with the game, so these are removable as needed if models are kind of having trouble fitting, including the small ones over here. And these are meant to be like semi-cultivated wheat or even wild patches of wheat, because this is an area where I believe wheat-type plants occur in the wild, or at least non-cultivated. Move on to, maybe my favorite 2 pieces. And these are the ones that really motivated me to do this project. So this is what's known as like a rocky ground where you get hard cover and it's kind of hard to move through. This is kind of a low ruin. And then again, these are removable. These are off of Green Stuff World, and I just really gave them a really simple dry brush because, again, I only have one thumb. This thumb's immobilized, unfortunately. I took some old movement trays I had from the Warhammer days. I chopped them up. I weathered them with some sandpaper. I put down that gel to kind of hide it. In retrospect, I should have put down a little spackle. As we see here, you got a stark edge there. I should have put down some spackle to make that a little more even. Primed it just like everything else, but then I did this checkerboard pattern using a mix of contrast paints, some dry brushing and highlighting, and yeah, I like it. It works for exactly what I had in mind when I was trying to put it together. The piece to go with that, I originally thought I was going to use the old 40K Ruined Chapel that you got with the early 40K box sets. And I was like, oh, I must have a ton of those still. And I looked through all my boxes, I couldn't even find one. And you know, I've probably had 4 of them over the years. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I might know where one of them is, but I couldn't find it when I needed one. So my mother-in-law was visiting, and she actually is a pretty good craft resource. She told me, hey, why don't you look for fish tank stuff? So I created this piece. So this is my Saga Ruins, and you got that kind of flooring to match that other piece, but then you got 2 of these, which go down, create a nice little ruins for the troops to go through. Kind of had like a windswept area here and tried to dry brush in one direction, and then collect sand in the corners. In retrospect, I probably could have done that a little more effectively, and you know, practice makes perfect, right? I don't think I'll be making terrain like this again, but it was a really fun little project. I have a few more pieces that go with this, and for those Saga players out there, you're saying, hey, where are the hills? I don't love the way the hills came out. I did a couple more Renendra tents as well for, I know they're not quite AWI, but I had them with AWI in mind when I put them together. I know those are probably more like colonial, British colonial, later era tents, but it doesn't bother me. My hills, I've got 2 small hills. The way I created those, I had 2 styrofoam hills from many years past that I had put together for a 10mm project that I never finished. And I thought, well, let's dust those off. I put over them, again, some more of that Vallejo gel, put in some rocks. This is some cork rock, just to make them look a little more rugged. Sprayed them, dry brushed them, put on some tufts. I don't love the way I put on the tufts. I put them on here so that models had somewhere to stand so they wouldn't slide down the hills. So I always found that really annoying about hill design. And again, I want my terrain to make the table look better and make the game more playable, not take anything away. They're based just with some old IKEA furniture that had broken off. I repurposed it for the bases of these. Those came out okay. This hill is ugly. I don't like it. This is my large hill. My problem here was I had the bright idea of, hey, why don't I mix some sand in with some of that Vallejo basing gel and make it look a little more rugged. I went way too overboard. I used way too large of a grit of sand. It just looks so unnatural. Bonus is it's solid, holds models because there's a lot of texture to catch onto the base edge, but man, it's hideous. I will use it until I have a replacement. The same problem occurred with my steep terrain. And I actually didn't even end up finishing painting the steep terrain. I was going to do a little more with the edge here and kind of make these cliff edges a different color rock. Maybe it'd be that ruddy sandstone like the ruins. But I lost steam because it just looks like shit. But man, it is playable. Guys have this nice flat surface to stand on. There would be rock formations somewhat like this in the areas that I'm envisioning playing. And then down below you have this sandy texture that's kind of pooling around the edges. I like it. It's not overly realistic, but it's practical, works for the game, durable enough. And that was my terrain project. Really interested to hear your thoughts, especially on where I can improve these hills and maybe take another go at it. Otherwise, stay tuned for more. Next video is going to be going over my Saga warband, which is based to match all of this terrain, or really vice versa. All right, thanks for watching.